would be Bradshaw, and that would be the WWE Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And this is Best of the Best, where stories with Brisco and Bradshaw bring you a series of watching professional wrestling's most iconic, greatest, most memorable moments. And sometimes the most iconic are not necessarily the best. However, in this case, we have an iconic match that made one guy, and also one of the best matches that made both guys. Andre the Giant versus Stan Hansen, tennis court, 1981.
John, I hate it when I hear that thing, and I know you do because you're one of them. When the big guys can't work, that's so much BS. A big guy can work as good as those 240 pounder, 235 pounders, and we're going to see how good Andre the Giant really was. And unlike the last match that we gave you on this Best of the Best, and that was a great match. It was an iconic match, but this match here is an example of two guys that really get along, two guys that really respect each other's work, and most of all, two guys that really trust each other in the ring. And when you have those three components all together, you're going to come out with one of the best matches you've ever seen. And John, tell us about this.
Josh, would you tee it up and we will get it rolling? Stan Hansen had become one of the biggest names in Japan. And Andre, of course, was the Giant. So this was one of the first big meetups. And Stan Hansen always said this was the thing that made him in Japan, was this single match when the Giant sold him and put him over.
Yeah, there are certain nights in everybody's career when you feel that torch has finally been touched. And most of all, when you feel like you've finally figured it out. And you got to have the help of that second guy in the ring with you. And this is the night that Stan figured, man, I got it. But he had the help of one of the greatest of all time, one of the greatest attractions of all time, Andre the Giant.
And man, if you never saw Stan Hansen enter a wrestling arena, especially in Japan, you missed out. That man came out of that like a freaking crazy bull out of a chute.
He knew how to scatter them.
Boy, did he. He used to climb in the ring off a tag, and he would scare people. He did it so, it's hard to explain. He would come in and it was like, oh my God, he's going to kill somebody.
You got that 6'9", 400-pound guy, wild man from Borger, Texas, man, he scare anybody.
Yes. And constant motion.
Yeah, that's the thing about a big man too. And constant motion requires a lot of cardio. And here's a big man that's in constant motion. So the cardio for Stan, had to just be phenomenal.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Stan, obviously you can learn that cardio over time. I think, you learn pace. Yeah. And once you get a certain pace, that cardio stays with you.
There's the great golden boy himself, Arnold Schoen. You talk about cardio, man. That guy, even up in his 60s and 70s, he had the best cardio anybody I ever seen.
And look at this. I mean, start off right away.
Bobby Backlund always did that step test, and sometimes he'd do it until exhaustion, and Arnie would walk over there and get on that step test and do it like nothing he ever saw.
Really?
It didn't phase him at all. This match starts right off, man. Look at that.
Not many people shot off the Giant.
No. But once again, it goes to Andre really trusting Stan. And Andre
look how Stan sells it. Look how Stan sells and just keeps coming back. Yeah. I used to always say, you remember back in the day, the Japanese magazines, they would put picture of you in, and that's how you got over. Yeah. And in Stan's picture, he always had this crazy face. He was never not working. And you watch him now, his facial expressions are just awesome.
I know, John, this is the man you really pattern a lot of your style off of. So I'm watching close and trying to see a lot of Layfield in this match. I see some of the selling there.
Well, I loved watching Stan and Gordy both. I mean, they were oh my goodness. They were so good.
And neither one of them was afraid to sell, John, for big guys. And that's right. The secret, as you found out in your career, you sell, and it's so easy to let do anything else after a sell. And look at Andre. I mean, look at his facials and look at his body motion. Look at his body posture as he's doing this simple arm bar here.
Andre headbutts his arm and sells his head.
And sells.
Yeah.
Sells.
I mean, these guys they're just world class.
Yeah. And now, I mean, this is believable. Here's 400 pounds right on your shoulders there, and your upper body. It's hard to breathe in that position. I don't care if it is a work, you still got that weight laying on top of you.
Yeah. I used to hate that in the Boston Crab.
Oh, Boston Crab, that's a brutal hold there.
I hated being in that thing.
You're helpless in that Boston Crab to me.
Yeah. You can't breathe.
Andre's face, man. Look at
Andre sells. I mean, that's off a chop. Look at this.
That's trust again, and man, that's respect for each other.
And a headbutt to the jaw. Andre keeps going back to the arm.
And Stan selling the heck out of it.
I mean, they're telling a heck of a story. And one of the things that it's very important about this is Stan's lariat was his left arm.
Okay, I got you.
So Andre's trying to take away the one weapon that Stan has.
Wow. Just the momentum, both of those guys hitting that turnbuckle. Do you see these guys just tippy toe in nowadays?
Wouldn't break an egg.
That's the worst. My pet peeve in business is hit the damn ropes like you mean it. Hit the turnbuckle. They ain't going nowhere, man. Andre the Giant, Big Show, and every other big man in the world hit those damn ropes. They ain't going anywhere. Every once in a while you have one pop like you did on Bobby Lashley last night, but that's one in a million that happens, man.
Yeah, and it kills the whole match when you see something like that. When somebody doesn't hit a turnbuckle hard, doesn't hit the ropes hard, just kills it.
They could be in the middle of this really believable series right here, and then one of them hit the ropes like tippy toe, and like Tinkerbell, and then all of a sudden the match, they're stinking. That's what sticks out in the match, to me anyway.
And here's two of the biggest, toughest guys of all time, and they're working an arm.
Yeah, working a hold.
And tell me this isn't the easiest thing in the world to work. One guy works the arm, and one guy works the leg.
Basics of our business. And we talk so much about the Japanese crowd, and you can see how into this match they are. And these crowds are ones that you really got to build to if you want them to get them off their feet. You're not going to get them off their feet no matter how hard you try until you give them a story and you start building up that finish. Then they show their appreciation and they get up and they applaud.
There was Stan just calling a spot.
A crowd like this, you can really learn to work, John.
Yeah, that's right. And there's no replacing it. You can't learn how to work unless you're in front of a crowd like this.
That's the reason I think going over Japan when you're young like that and working in front of these crowds, you learn so much. And the guys that went over Japan at a younger age, they learned that. And I think it really helped speed up their progression once they got back to the States.
I do too. I think all of the different places you can work, you get such a big arsenal of how to get over, because it's different to get over in every single place you're at.
Yeah.
Japan, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Europe, all the different territories.
Yeah, to me, man, they're building this match and they're just going right back and they're just showing you what it's all about.
And this is so good. They start out hot because you got two big, tough, out of control guys. And now you're settling it down into a hold.
And the bigger guys taking command and selling. It's almost like a regular baby-faced heel match, regular size match.
That's right. Andre's pretty much working heel here. Stan always selling toward Andre.
You come right up into him, gave him that head right there. Boom. There goes the slam. Andre's never been slammed. Come on, Sam.
I thought he'd never been slammed. We've seen him slam twice.
Look at Andre sell, man.
They asked Jake Roberts one time, they said, these guys are using the DDT, but they're not beating anybody. What's the difference between yours and theirs? And he says, when I hit them, they lose.
That's a big difference.
And that's the difference. If you have somebody that sells something, it makes sense. If you don't, none of it makes sense.
Andre the Giant, he's selling his ass off in this match, and for a big guy like that to go down and sell it, he's really got to have confidence in himself and confidence in his opponent.
Yeah, and what Andre doesn't know here, I'm sure he figures that that's what's going on. If you look at Stan's face, he's selling like crazy. Look at Stan, like he's trying to break Andre in half. Working like crazy. And that's what makes the whole thing right here is Stan selling.
Yeah.
And Stan's the one putting the hold on. That's a great escape.
And this match, I don't know what to link to, but they go some time in there. These guys are just laying around like that. They've been up on their feet. For two big guys to be up on their feet, punching each other around, like two ordinary guys, 15 minutes back and forth there. So they're putting out the energy, what they're doing right there.
Yeah, and they're working hard at it.
Yeah.
There's Arnie Scullin, right? Yep.
Arnie Scullin there, and it looked like we saw the great Bill Lapter run around the corner there. I saw that bald head back there.
I always thought Arnie Scullin was such a great manager. He was so understated. He would just stand there sometimes with a towel on his shoulder with the suit on. It just looked so cool. Yeah. I think sometimes managers try to do too much.
Yeah, and Freddie didn't need to be. Just the picture of Freddie, because he's always dressed to the nines, man, and always looked like $1 million. So just his presence there was enough.
Did you work with Arnie?
No, I didn't, man. I never did. And not any way, Sean, not when he was a manager or anything. I wish I would have. I don't. Arnie and I made a lot of road trips together. He told me a lot of stories. Not every story he told me, I wished I'd been in the ring with him.
What a nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, just a legend.
Yeah. A hell of a card player.
Yeah.
Those old timers like that, they were all card players, though. They sat around the dressing room. They didn't have the video games. They played cards.
And there we have the double count out finish. Yeah. Stan still standing. Andre still standing. Two guys beat,
hands up, folks.
Two guys beat the heck out of each other. And nobody's upset about not having to finish.
You said Stan standing, Andre standing, and the crowd standing. So
that's right. Who's that referee there?
That's a Mitsu guy. I won't say I'll recall, but I don't think that's his last name. But
yeah, yeah.
Pretty well-known wrestler over there in the day.
Hey guys, I'm going to pause this real quick.
Big Joe Higuchi in the back, the famous Joe Higuchi.
John Jerry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. I pause this real quick. I believe they restart this match. I think they had two matches back to back because there's still about 6 minutes on the tape, and I just looked over some things. I think Andre won the first by count out, but then Stan wins fall 2 by DQ.
Okay.
So I think that's what they're getting ready to restart.
Okay, great. Thank you. I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
John, what are they doing here?
What they're trying to do here, since we don't speak Japanese and neither does Josh, is they want to restart the match. So see the crowd going crazy?
They like it.
And I think Andre went over the first one by a count out. And then, it's pretty much, gray area. Nobody really won. And so now both of them want to restart the match, and, the crowd's going crazy.
I know the senior official, the great Joe Higuchi, came out and straightened it. And folks, help us. Who is the referee in there now? He was a famous pro wrestler back in his day, but I can't put a name to it.
And that's one of the things I loved about the Japanese big matches is they would have, some big figure come out and restart a match or something. Andre loved this spot, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I mean, this was his favorite. Look at Stan now. I mean, they battled through 10, 12 minutes, and battling that big guy is not an easy term. And all of a sudden, the bell rings, restarted. And Stan's like the match just started. He's ready to go.
That is a club right there.
Woo.
It's a club.
Like I said, we won't know how big Stan is, but look at the difference in size.
And they're just taking turns selling for each other. You know, when you talk about they both trust each other, they obviously do.
And they're not rushing anything they do. They're just taking their time deliberately.
Andre just took the turn pad off. Referee trying to fix it. Andre gets the turnbuckle on his head.
Well, is he going for it there? Yeah.
I think he is. It looked like he was.
It looked like it. Maybe he fooled us there, Don.
Yeah. I think he fooled us.
I don't know how much blood there was in those days back over there.
I don't think there was a ton.
I don't remember a lot of it.
A lot of those, Japanese groups, you want to start it before you got the crazy ones.
Yeah, the crazy group
It wasn't
when the bloodbath started.
It wasn't about blood. It was about good hardcore wrestling.
About athletic ability out there, and that's what set Japan apart, in those days.
And boy, the crowd has gotten a treat tonight.
Yeah.
Look at Stan's face.
Yeah. A beat down Texan.
I mean,
Nothing better than looking on your TV screen and seeing a beat down Texan, I tell you.
But it's always good to see a Texan on your TV screen. Look how strong Andre is.
Yeah. These two guys are going at it too.
Return the slam.
I just respect
Holy
these
cow.
guys so much for the hard work that they're doing.
Yeah, they're working incredibly hard on this match.
And the bumps both of them are taking. We don't see those bumps every day from these
No.
two guys.
I worked with Stan. I never saw him.
Yeah. I took a few for sale like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked with Stan one time with Larry versus Larry match. I said, "What do you want to do, Stan? Like 30 or 40-minute match?" He said, "How about I duck yours, hit you with mine?" Okay, that'll work. That was all we went over.
Yeah. Well, that was a hell of a spot there.
Great spot. That shows you how tremendously athletic Andre the Giant is.
And once again, he respects Stan, and he's getting that lariat over. He took a bump outside the ring off of a lariat for Stan.
Yeah.
Now he's loading that arm pad, that elbow pad.
Which is kind of a little throw in the face of Stan, because they always said Stan loaded his elbow pad.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that had a lot to do with it.
So
Stan knows he loaded it. He's stooging him off, stooging his own gimmick off.
right.
There, Andre's had enough. Whoa! With the loaded elbow there, folks. All right. I see some kabuki stuff coming there.
Here come all the young guys trying to save the day.
I love it when the young guys hit the ring. I bet you we can look at that young guy crew. I bet they're the future stars in that damn group.
Oh, I bet there's a bunch of them.
I know. Help us name them out there, folks.
If you can spot them, tell us who they are. The young guys were always like the stormtroopers in Star Wars. They're the ones that just got killed by the dozens.
Yeah. They had a lot of them too.
Oh, yeah.
Those kids were so great for you, though. They helped you out every damn way they could. You never needed nothing when those kids were around you.
Look at Stan. Whoa, that's a clothesline.
Yeah. And Stan and Andre are going to lay everything they can with these kids. The kids are disposable.
That's right. Yeah, there's nothing that ends up short with one of these young guys.
Push the forest over there.
What a great sight, though. You have mass chaos, referees down, young boys all come in, try to stop it.
And two giants standing tall.
And two giants snarling and fuming.
I know that tall kid had to end up a star. That in Okie? Nope.
I used to work out at Animal Hamaguchi's gym at Weno Station, upstairs gym, and they had a couple of young guys there. One of them was Funaki.
Well, look at Stan throw these shares. I love this when he's throwing these shares. I mean, he no regard for nothing. He's slinging.
Nothing. If Stan starts throwing something, you got to have both.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
It's coming.
Ain't coming. Andre don't want to be up there either.
There goes Andre after him.
Look at that big ass guy walking through there. Well, John, we just saw a classic, man.
Wow. And that's what Stan Hansen has always said made him in Japan. And you can see why.
Yeah.
The Giant was so selfless and so giving. I mean, that was incredible.
And to me, it's just great to see a match like that where two guys are just out there giving to each other, knowing that their time's going to come. You know, I got to get my shit in. Neither one of those guys worried about that at all because they knew they were.
That's right. That's right. And both of them came out better than they went in it before. So there you have it. The Stan Hansen, Andre the Giant finale to the Andre trilogy that we just watched with Andre with Chuck Webner, Andre with Hulk Hogan. When Hulk Hogan was the bad guy, the showdown at Shea #3, and this incredible match of Andre Giant versus Stan Hansen, tennis court, 1981, one of the greatest matches of all time. For Stories with Brisco and Bradshaw, this is Best of the Best. I'm Bradshaw. That is the legendary Mr. Brisco. Thanks for joining us.